Yes, y'all know what it is, man. It's the Earn and ISO show. If you don't know that yet, know we back at it. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what it is, man. The dynamic duo, your favorite podcaster's favorite podcaster. You know what I'm saying? The unstoppable force that be us. Look, man, it's just me, solo dolo. The plan was to break up the Tuesday's episode into two parts, but me editing it, man, I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I couldn't find a certain part of the episode to break up that had an even flow for y'all to be anticipating the next one. And I felt like the episode just fit better to give y'all the whole episode, you know what I'm saying, at that time. If y'all consumed the whole episode at one time, if y'all came back to it, we appreciate y'all, you know what I'm saying, for that. But it's just E, man. It's just E. It's just me. But shout out to ISO anyway, man. Shout out to Big Bro. You know what I mean? My partner in this thing, you know what I'm saying? The in-depth content creator that he is, you know what I mean? Shout out to bro and that. But this is an episode that I kind of wanted to do. It's not a lot of episodes that I be wanting to do solo dolo, you know what I'm saying? I always want to get like bro his insight on certain things, his take on certain things, but y'all know ISO the way I know ISO, man. Bro is very clear cut and concise when it comes to him making points, you know what I'm saying? He get right to the point, I mean, make his point, and he leave it at that. And this one, I want to do a little exploring. I wanted to do the hypotheticals, you know what I mean, and build it up and dig deep into this the way I did. So, as y'all know, y'all clicked onto this, so y'all saw the thumbnail, y'all saw the title, man. What if the East Coast, West Coast beef never existed? If y'all tune into the Tuesday episode and watch it in its entirety, you know this is a question that I asked bro then, you know what I'm saying? It was something that I slightly touched on. I didn't want to go into all the depths of the things that I was thinking of at the time, but it was something that I just wanted to touch on because we was in the barbershop. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know how we do. We in the barbershop. We do the barbershop things. So it was something I was thinking about, but it was also something that I just wanted to explore. You know what I'm saying? And I guess because we did that Tuesday's episode the way we did, even though, you know, in the episode y'all can hear that we were saying that it was supposed to be broken up into two parts, and I left it as one whole part. I gave myself room to do this Friday episode for y'all, you know what I'm saying? So here it is, man. What if the East Coast, West Coast beef never existed? You know what I'm saying? We gonna start at the beginning, y'all. You know what I'm saying? The event that led up to the East Coast, West Coast beef. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know, you know what I'm saying? November the 30th, 1994. Location was the Quad Studios in New York City. In this studio, we have Big was recording, you know what I'm saying? Little C's was there, and other members of the Junior Mafia crew was there. C's made the statement that as he was on the, I don't know if we would call it a patio, you know what I'm saying? The rooftop, whatever, as he was out, you know what I mean, smoking on a, you know what I mean, him and another Junior Mafia member, they saw Tupac coming up the street. So, you know, he yelled down the pot, you know what I'm saying? Because at the time, you mean a close friend of Biggie Smalls, a close friend of them as well, you know what I'm saying? Hey, Pac, yo, we up here. Come up here, holler at us. So, you know, Pac being Pac and Big being Big, you know what I mean? Them being friends at the time. Pac took that invite and said, I'm on my way up. C said that he went down. I guess he went down to go meet Pac. I don't know if this was a studio. You got to be buzzed up. You got to go up with somebody. As he went down to go meet Pac, Pac was being robbed. You know what I'm saying? Pac was being robbed. And he was told to get back on the elevator. You know what I'm saying? As Tupac was being robbed. Tupac goes back into the studio, tells Big, hey, Big, yo, Pac being robbed right now, man. You know what I'm saying? We just saw Pac being robbed. So Big and them get up and they go, you know what I'm saying, to go check and see what's going on. As they open the elevator door, you know what I mean, there's Tupac and another, I believe, another member or two that was with him that was already shot at the time. You know what I'm saying? And this is the event that led to the East Coast, West Coast beef, as we now call it that. You know what I'm saying? I saw an interview where it said that Tupac was going to the studio to record a feature with Little Sean. You know what I mean? Who was an artist that was managed by Jimmy the Henchman. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you'll hear a lot of stories of what people takes and what was supposed to happen and what didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? But the things that we do know, we know Pac was shot. You know what I'm saying? Pac enters the lobby. You know what I mean? Armed men robbed him, shot him 5 times. Pac survived, but he immediately suspected the setup came from Bad Boy Records. Biggie Smalls and Junior Mafia. You know what I'm saying? Who was in the building at the time? You know what I'm saying? We now know, you know what I'm saying? Well, I'm pretty sure people knew then that, you know what I'm saying? Because this is all stemming from the recent shout out to the, art dialogue again. You know what I mean? This is all stemming from the Rivera, you know what I mean, interview that, at that time, man, Pac knew who did what because of the events that he did leading up to that event. You know what I'm saying? Who did what and why. So, I guess we could just leave that. Pac was just being a hell of a businessman at the time, and he took advantage of a situation and ran with it. That was an event that led to that. And I guess, stemming forward because of that, Suge Knight took advantage of a situation, and he stepped up. You know what I'm saying? And he recruited, you know what I mean, Tupac Shakur over there on the West Coast to join him, Dr. Dre, and Snoop Dogg, who were already a force, you know what I mean, to be reckoned with. And Tupac was really, I don't even know if you can call him the TNT, man. He was the battery in the back that took them to a plateau that dominated the radio, dominated the airwaves, dominated, you know what I'm saying, just music, changed the face of music. As you know, us on East Coast had enjoyed it, devoured it, you know what I'm saying, listened to it, you know what I mean? So that was that. And stemming from that, you know what I mean, as we move forward from that event, that was November the 30th, 1994, as we move forward from that event, the other events that added gasoline to the fire, August the 3rd, 1995, the Source Awards, 1995, the Source Awards in 1995. During the Source Awards in hip-hop, during the Source Music Hip-Hop Awards in New York City, Suge Knight's infamous diss, you know what I mean, he came up when he said, listen, man, if there's any artists out there that want to be a star, you know what I mean, you don't want the executive producer all in the videos, all on the records, dancing, come to Death Row. You know what I mean? And at the time, because this was in New York and they was West Coast dudes, you know what I mean, New York City was very abrupt and they blew up. One thing I think that we missed from that event, you know what I mean, I'm going to talk about it even though that's not like directly correlated with this. I think at that time, all sides, you know what I'm saying, was kind of like on tension because I remember Andre 3 Stacks got up and said, I mean, the South got something to say. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's something that kind of went like, we talk about it. I mean, I'm a hip hop head, so you know what I mean, I know about it, but it's not talked about, I think, by the casual fan. The casual fan remember that moment by Dr. Dre, and we remember the moment when Snoop Dogg went up there and Snoop Dogg said, New York don't got no love for us. You don't got no love for us, we don't got no love for y'all either. You know what I'm saying? And then we got Puff going up there, and Puff was like, listen, man, let's chill out, man. Let's all show each other love. So I think it was all sides that was just trying to, you know what I mean, get their voice heard because I remember Andre 3 Stacks that same day, you know what I mean, going up there and saying, you know what I'm saying, the South got something to say. You know what I mean? So everybody wanted their voice to heard because at that time, man, New York ran hip-hop. New York ran hip-hop, you know what I'm saying? And me being an East Coast dude, I'm not going to lie, man, if it wasn't New York, I don't even know if I was really vibing with it because that was just the impact that they had on it. Like, it was people that would be closely knitted to New York and be from Jersey, but they would say, I'm from New York. Because, you know, from New York, you're going to get the nod, you're going to get the look. So, at that time, man, New York had the look. And New York had the push. And New York had the artists. You know what I mean? They had the artists at the time that was killing the airwaves, man. They was making major moves. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And, you know, stemming from these events, man, I'm trying to see, when did we get Hit 'Em Up? Oh, Hit 'Em Up. After that, I mean, Tupac shooting, I mean, Who Shot You came out, which we know Who Shot You wasn't directed towards Tupac, but it was, I think, bad timing at that time. In 96, you know what I'm saying, this is 96, that was August the 3rd, 1995. In 96, Tupac released, to me, one of the most disrespectful, you know what I mean, diss records of all time. Even, listen, man, I don't think Kendrick, Drake, the most disrespectful, you know what I'm saying, diss records of all time that they even shot a video to, man. They shot a video to Hit 'Em Up. And at that time, that was not common, you know what I'm saying, for you to shoot a video for a diss record, you know what I'm saying? So at that time, Hit 'Em Up came out and it took over everything. It was something, listen, it moved like wildfire through the streets. I remember, you know what I mean, being in Philly, man, and we heard that joint come on, and it was just like crazy. It was pandemonium. You know what I'm saying? It was really on some pick who you ride with at that point. Who you ride with? Is you East Coast? Is you West Coast? No, I'm sorry. Because at that time, we wasn't talking about East Coast or West Coast. It was Are you with Death Row or you with Bad Boy? That's what's the talk. Who you with? You with Pac or you with Big? That was the talk at the time. This is why I think at that time that song came through and caught fire like it did because we didn't pick shots at that time. If it was an East Coast West Coast thing at that time, I don't know if Hit 'Em Up would have took off like it did because the East Coast would have we rolled with them. You know what I'm saying? Once it was I guess once the title of East Coast West Coast beef was given. You know what I'm saying? At that time, you know what I mean, we do know that the Vibe magazine had a cover, you know what I'm saying? As y'all can see, you know what I mean, y'all probably saw the thumbnail, man. I threw that up there. You know what I mean? I'm actually recording this before I even design my own thumbnail, so hopefully the thumbnail came out right. You know what I mean? The thumbnail where Big and Puff is on the cover, and they labeled this the East Coast West Coast, you know what I mean, rivalry. Now y'all know in the Tuesday's episode, I asked ISO the question, what if the East Coast West Coast beef never existed? He made I'm not gonna say the claim because I think within hip hop or, you know what I mean, with us, like I said, we never called it the East Coast West Coast beef until it was labeled that. But he said that he don't think that it was to the extent of how we the fans viewed it. My only rebuttal to that is because in the Lance Unrevere interview, he said that as they were, I believe you said they were in Vegas. I'm not mistaken. They made wherever they were at. They were leaving, and Suge and Pac was there. You know what I'm saying? And he said that Pac said, "West Side is the best side." To me, there will be no need for you to make that claim unless you're gonna say we West Coast and y'all East Coast. This is why in my head, even though it wasn't stated and it wasn't labeled East versus West at the time before the Vibe magazine, you know what I mean? We know that according to when Pac, you know what I mean, when Pac was in the car, he said Pac was in the car, halfway out the car in the window and said, West Side is the best side. You know what I'm saying? So I'm left to the extent to believe that maybe some people within the industry did say that, I mean, we West Coast, we don't collab with them and we don't vibe with them and we ride with you, Pac. And some people on the East Coast took the same stance to say, we East Coast, we don't vibe with them and we don't ride with them. We ride with you, big. Which we know, you know what I'm saying? Snoop did do the, you know what I mean, New York. Big City of Dreams in the video. He was in there looking like Godzilla kicking down buildings. You know what I mean? And shout out to Mob, because I think Mob was the only people that gave a response when they did, you know what I'm saying, LA. You know what I'm saying? But these were just some of the events that led to the East Coast, West Coast beef. You know what I'm saying? And this is my thing. Let me get into this before I go into like who was really affected and how it may have stalled the growth of hip hop at that time, how it may have, stalled the growth of some artists, you know what I'm saying? Producers, DJs, radio stations alike. We always made the claim, like, you know, we always call certain people culture vultures. Like, we got the DJ Vlads that we call them, you know what I'm saying? That we label these people unfairly culture vultures, right? And sometimes hip-hop is a culture that devours itself because Vibe was part of the culture. So for us to say that, you know what I mean, it wasn't labeled that and Vibe gave it that label, you know what I'm saying? Vibe was part of the culture. Matter of fact, there were radio stations that ran with that narrative because they know, yo, we talk about this, people going to tune in. There were shows that ran with that narrative. There were magazines that picked up that narrative. There were interviews where people talked about this. So within the hip-hop world, we didn't dismiss it and we didn't stop it. As the wildfire grew, we leaned into it because we knew that would be the one thing to grow whatever we were doing. Be it your radio station, be it your magazine, be it your blog, your vlog, whatever it was. Everybody leaned into it because they capitalized off of what was going on at the time. Nobody at one time said, listen, this ain't what we doing. Hip-hop is to unify. Hip-hop is to build. And hip-hop is to grow, and that's what we're going to do. So, like I said, man, we call certain people culture vultures. We label people for destroying the culture, you know what I'm saying? But ultimately, hip-hop has been that itself. Hip-hop has been that to itself, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully, if I remember, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to speak about something at the end of this. But like I said, at that time, man, I remember, this is one thing I love about, the pod with me and bro. We are both hip-hops from two opposite ends of the coin. he's an album guy. ISO could tell you album after album after album, you know what I'm saying, when it came out with the single and everything. I really wasn't an album guy, but I'm gonna tell you like this. I don't know nobody who had more mixtapes than me. If it was a mixtape, I had it. You know what I'm saying? If it was an artist that I thought was, yo, this boy should have been the next boy because he was on this mixtape and listen, I'm a mixtape head. I love mixtapes to the point where I am a little upset that mixtapes don't exist to this day. They're not as big. I mean, they do exist, excuse me. They do exist. They're not as big as they were because a mixtape was the thing that broke an artist to us. Because we bought mixtapes because we might have saw, oh, Kiss on this joint, oh, the Locks on here, well, I gotta listen to it. And it might have been sprinkled with a shout out to Saigon. Saigon might have been on there. Oh, yo, who this? That's Saigon. You know what I'm saying? It could have been certain artists that you never heard of, but they on there now because they was on the mixtape with somebody and you listen to the mixtape that they was on. Now you a fan of them as well. So a mixtape to me was a great way to break an artist. You know what I'm saying? That you might not have had even gave the time to listen to. So I was a mixtape head, man. You know what I'm saying? I love mixtapes. I love mixtapes to this day. You know what I'm saying? I love the aesthetic of the freedom that artists have by being able to go into a mixtape and just taking it whatever direction they want without the label having any input on it. You know what I mean? I love the fact of a mixtape of you get to hear sometimes. You don't get this all the time because sometimes it got oversaturated. Because I ain't gonna lie. This happened with a Millie. When Lil Wayne dropped a million and everybody named Mom rapped over that beat. You know what I'm saying? But mixtapes give you that. They give you that, you know what I'm saying, acoustic when you get to hear your favorite rapper rap on a beat that they probably wouldn't have rapped on before. You know what I'm saying? So you get that as well. So shout out to mixtapes, man, because that was that's why I love mixtapes at the time. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, you know what I'm saying, at that time, man, hip hop was definitely the culture, you know what I'm saying, within hip hop. I think we all had, not all, yeah, I'm gonna say all, because the beef was something that we leaned into to the extent of even now, beefs grow artists. It's sad to say, but beefs grow artists. I'm a Kendrick Lamar fan, but would Kendrick Lamar be as big as Kendrick Lamar is if he didn't have that beef with Drake? You know what I'm saying? Like, beefs do grow artists to the extent where certain artists look for beefs because they know that I can blow off of this. I'm going to get attention in places that I probably wouldn't get attention before. And I think that stemmed from this East Coast, West Coast thing that is even prominent in today. So, you know what I'm saying? Let's see. We got that. So, like I said, we know the events leading up to the beef. We know what happened. You know what I'm saying? We know the aftermath. We know the people that we lost. You know what I'm saying? Because of it. If the beef didn't exist and the East Coast at that time would have been able to collab with West Coast artists, I think hip hop would have been on a stage. Like, I think that how we always have the top 3 or the top 5 guys, no matter who you talk to, I think it wouldn't be as known. I think the list would be more fluid than it is today because certain artists would have certain shine. Certain artists would have collabed with certain artists. Certain artists would have had the growth, you know what I'm saying, because of the freedom to, you know what I mean, do a song with somebody. You would have had, just imagine a Big and a Pac album. You know what I'm saying? 2 kings because of how close they was. Now all we got is a Mississippi. The Mississippi joint when you know what I mean when Big was on there, I got 11 Mac 11 is about 838. I mean that, like, I got 8, 9, 10 Mac. That's all we got right now in front of them too. Just imagine we'd had an album with Big and Pac on there. You know what I'm saying? Some crazy. Just imagine we'd had somebody like a Bad Boy and a Death Row tour. Like we had some great tour, but a Bad Boy and a Death Row tour would have been crazy. I mean, we've had phenomenal tours, you know what I'm saying? Some big tours, but at the time, them 2 giants, just the landscape that they could have traveled and went by and explored, I think that would have put hip-hop in another plateau. I think because of the beef, there are companies, and it did put a black eye on hip-hop for companies to stray away from us as advertising dollars. Even venues wanting to book hip-hop artists, you know what I'm saying? Certain artists may have got swallowed up within the beef because all we wanted to hear about is the beef. It's probably artists that was breaking at the time, but because of the timing of it, we didn't get the chance to enjoy them. You know what I'm saying? They didn't get the fair shine that they deserved because all we wanted to hear about was the beef. Before the beef, I'm gonna say this. Before the beef, I believe the West Coast was running shit. We ain't gonna lie. West Coast was running shit. As big as the artist as Big was to us, West Coast was running shit. Like I said, Death Row was on a crazy trajectory. You know what I'm saying? With Snoop, Dr. Dre, and when Tupac went over there, you know what I'm saying? The songs that his work, you know what I mean, ethic, and the things he was doing was phenomenal. So before the beef, they was just, West Coast was knocking it out. You know what I'm saying? East Coast, we was doing things. We had Big over here, Nas was doing things. LL at the time was, you know what I mean, active. Jay, you know what I'm saying? Shout out, you know what I mean, Jay-Z. We had our artists, but the West Coast slowed the tempo of the, you know what I mean, the bop down. They were more articulate with it. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like you had to listen to the track a million times to hear what they were saying, and they had the women. One thing I'm going to tell you, Big Bro said that. They had the women, and like Pac said, if you want to run this game, if you want to make some money, you got to get the women. You get the women, you're going to get the guys. You know what I'm saying? Because that's why you go to a bar, and the bar might tell you women in free till 10. Because if the women come, we know the guys going to follow. So Pac had that, you know what I'm saying, template in his head, and they ran with it. You know what I'm saying? Even with, you know what I mean, you know, Snoop and them calling women bees and hoes, they ran with it, and they capitalized off of that. You know what I mean? They were slower. The lyrics was more presentable. It was easier to recite. They weren't overthinking what they were doing, and they were winning at that time. You know what I'm saying? I believe, Death Row was like a money-making machine. They was a money-making machine. They could not be stopped. They could not be stopped at the time. And East Coast, we are very, very, very lyrical. We are very lyrical over here. Sometimes we overthink the lyrics. You know what I'm saying? We want to put double entendres, and then, you know what I mean, this right here is the double syllable hit. I'm going to hit them with the triple syllable. We just overthink lyrics. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I think you lose the female audience with that because it's just like, yo, I don't even know what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? So before the, you know what I mean, East Coast, West Coast thing was labeled the beef, West Coast was winning nonstop. Now, within the aftermath, with the loss of, you know what I'm saying, even though we're not going to say that the loss of Tupac was due to the beef, you know what I'm saying, we know the loss of Tupac was due to what happened during the Tyson fight. Well, not during the Tyson fight, after the Tyson fight, little scuffle we had with another gang member, and we know that, you know what I mean, his death was, you know what I mean, stemmed from that. But after the beef, the loss of Tupac, I think that really hit West Coast hard because, you know what I'm saying, with the loss of Pac, and then we know that Snoop, you know what I mean, you know, he came over to No Limit, and the East Coast took off after that. You know what I mean? We took off after that with him being a void right there in the West Coast. The East Coast, you know what I'm saying, took off with that. You know what I mean? And hip hop may have took an unnecessary hit because I believe with the West Coast emergence, we were headed somewhere that was, I mean, hip hop is global now, right? But I believe at that time it would have hit it record marks faster than it had done, you know what I'm saying, then now. You know what I'm saying? I believe that if the West Coast would have continued on the way that it was going, the East Coast would have, we still going to be, you know what I mean, the barbarians that we are over here. We still going to be the lyrical giants that we are over here. But I think Pac had a business mindset. Suge had a business mindset that put them, you know what I mean, somewhere where the East Coast wasn't. Over here, our mantra and our motto is, man, keep it real. Everybody want to keep it real, but keeping it real don't pay the bills. You know what I'm saying? We have this false sense of for the love of the culture, or for the love of the game. You know what I'm saying? But hip-hop is a business. You know what I'm saying? So you can't say I'm staying true to something, but you're not trying to be, you know what I'm saying, monetary successful in it. And West Coast showed us that you could be successful at something and still stay true to yourself. Because it's not like they was over there selling out and they was doing things with cereal boxes in their videos. They was being true to who they was, still making records and still making a lot of money. And I think on the East Coast, we don't know how to we didn't know how to. I'm not gonna say don't know. We didn't know how to be successful while trying to keep it real and also make the money that was necessary. We wanted to be the toughest. We wanted to be the roughest. As I so say, you know what I'm saying, we was low down, rugged and raw, you know what I'm saying, with our fatigues on, you know what I'm saying, with the medallions on. We was trying to stay true to whatever hip hop was at that time. But that didn't pay the bills. That didn't, you know what I'm saying, make everything relevant to what it was. So I believe, man, that hip hop took a huge hit with the West Coast, East Coast, West Coast beef. You know what I'm saying? Because within my family, man, hip hop was passed down to me from my older cousins. I remember riding around my older cousin and he playing, you know what I'm saying, hip hop, and I'm listening to that. You know what I'm saying? You listen to all type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So with him, it was like, yo, we don't listen to Pac enough. We don't listen to West Coast. Because they took on whatever the East Coast, West Coast thing was, they took that on and they wore that. We East Coast over here, yo. We don't listen to them. You know what I'm saying? And it may have halted some of us as fans, you know what I'm saying? We may have missed out on some great hip-hop. You know what I'm saying? I mean, could you imagine hip-hop if you had the West Coast G-Funk with the East Coast boom bap? I mean, a fusion. Like, could you imagine that? Like I said before, you got a Pac and a Biggie project. We got a Bad Boy and a Death Row tour. You got a Bad Boy, a Death Row, and a Rockefeller tour. You know what I'm saying? You got a DMX on a song with a Tupac, because we can, if we gonna do the what if thing, I'm gonna do the what if thing all the way through. If we gonna do the what if, man, Pac, it would be Pac and Big would still be here. So you got a Pac and a DMX, you know what I mean, song together, which is crazy. Like that shit, the matchup just sound phenomenal. You got a Pac and a Ja Rule song. You know what I'm saying? You got a 50 Cent. Who does 50 Cent even still is Aftermath looked at as a East Coast label? Is Dre still on the West Coast? You know what I'm saying? There's 50 over there on the West Coast now. You know, so I believe, man, hip hop, we took a huge hit because of it, and hip hop is to blame because of it. It is, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie. I love hip hop to this day. I'm always gonna love hip hop. I'm always gonna remember, you know what I mean, when certain songs come on, what I was doing when that song came on, what I was enjoying when I heard the song, you know what I mean, how I felt when I heard the song. But hip hop is to blame for, you know what I'm saying, the allowing money to drive the culture the way it did. You know what I'm saying? We can't play both sides of the spectrum. We can't say we keeping it real, but also be sellouts to allow our culture to be infiltrated and took it down. And then at the same time get mad at other people because they don't look like us when they enter the culture and they become successful. So we can't have it every way. Like, it is what it is. If we gonna keep it real, we gonna keep it real. If we gonna protect the culture, we gonna protect the culture. But we can't say we gonna protect the culture unless I'm not getting paid. Then it's up for grabs. So, you know what I'm saying? That was definitely a hard hit right there, man. I'm trying to see, because I wrote some stuff down here, man, that I wanted to make sure I didn't forget to speak on. So I wrote down here, who benefited the most after the beef? I already spoke on that. East Coast, you know what I mean, saw a stronger immediate comeback. You know what I mean, Bad Boy's dominance continued for a short period. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, we lost Big, you know what I'm saying, in 97. You know what I mean? So that was like that. Puff Daddy blew up, you know what I'm saying? Jay-Z took over. And shout out to Jay, man, because I'm not gonna lie. Now that I think about it, I think Jay took on the mentality of what he saw the West Coast guys doing. You know what I'm saying? Jay took on the mentality of what he saw the West Coast doing. Because I know y'all get mad at me when I say this, but like, to me, Jay is not like lyrical. But I think in his mind, he knew that I don't have to be lyrical to sell. Like, I don't have to come out here and spend 1,000 bars and be so intricate, you know what I'm saying, and put the biggest words in it to sell. I have to keep it simple, you know what I'm saying? And the simpler I keep it, the better I'm going to be. And I think Jay took that as the businessman he is and ran with it and became super successful with that. You know what I'm saying? The crazy thing about hip-hop is that we fight so much to be individualists that we don't copy the blueprint of success when somebody showed it to us. Because I don't even know if there's anybody that tried to follow behind Jay. Because everybody wanted to be themselves and everybody wanted to be individual. Nobody wanted to be claimed a copycat. But sometimes, man, if it's something successful, you can still forge your lane in it and find out how to make it, yours. I'm not saying you got to come out here and spit like Jay and do what Jay do, but you still can be like, listen, I think we're going to slow it down. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get these beats. We're going to talk to the women. And that's what we're going to do. And that could have been, the wave that we moved on. You know what I'm saying? But it only happened for a certain few, because even now, when you hear East Coast rapper, you could kind of hear East Coast rapper. You know East Coast rapper when you hear how they rap. You know what I'm saying? We still intricate. We still want to be, a million bars a minute. You know what I'm saying? Where we only want to put a chorus in there. Chorus is wasting time. I'm gonna give you all 1,000 bars, but definitely that. I got here artists who rose after the smoke clear. Of course, we got JX, The Locks came through, Cameron, 50 Cent. I don't know why I got, I guess you could say that's kind of like West. And the West Coast, you know what I'm saying, I got Game, Exhibit, Ice Cube. You know what I mean? Ice Cube's resurgence. Because you know what I mean? Ice Cube. And like I said, at that time, man, the South said they got something to say. And the South definitely did step up. Outkast, Master P, Lil Wayne, UGK, T.I., you know what I'm saying? And we know after that, a slew of people. Long-term impact on the hip-hop culture. Hip-hop became more cautious about promoting violent rivalries, at least temporarily. Artists and labels realized the value of cross-coast collaborations. Dr. Dre and Nas, Jay-Z and Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent in the Game, briefly. Sparked a new focus on businesses. Artists like Jay-Z, Diddy, and Dr. Dre became moguls, learning from past mistakes. Streaming and social media later made regional divides less significant, which is true. Because, you know what I mean, with Instagram and Facebook and social media, you know what I'm saying, what region you come from don't matter. You can be somewhere South Bubblefuck and hop on this thing, you know what I'm saying, and then within the blink of an eye, somebody in North Bubblefuck can know who you are. You know what I'm saying? So being regional became less significant. Which I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing, man. I gotta ask ISO that, because ISO said, he spoke on that, how, I forget who he said that we need to become more regional with our music. I should ask him about that, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't know if that is as significant as, you know what I'm saying, a thing that we need to do. One thing I am going to say that I did appreciate with growing up, that hip-hop was the window into other neighborhoods for us. Even in Philly. I'm not going to lie. Even in Philly. This is no lie. My mom just told me this recently. You know what I'm saying? We born and raised in Philadelphia, man. You know what I'm saying? So my mom is as well. And my mom just told me recently, like, I've never been to South Philadelphia. And I thought that was crazy, because if you've been to Philly, man, Philly, we not that big. You can go in Philly and not even, an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most. So you go in Philly. In that time frame, my mom was like, I've never been to South Philly. I never had a need to. I'm like, we from North Philly. I don't go to South Philly. So that was crazy to me. That I'm like, dang, you never been to South Philly? Because, you know, growing up, we've been all around Philly growing up. You know what I'm saying? Me and ISO. But hip-hop was the window into certain people's neighborhoods. And I think we kind of enjoy how colorful people can paint the picture of what their neighborhood was to you, and you never even went there before. You know what I'm saying? So if we're gonna say we need to bring regional things back for that, maybe so. I don't think we'll ever get back to the point of saying that this is what this part of town do, or this is what we do in Philly, and this is what we do in New York, this is what we do in Baltimore, this is what we do in LA, this is what we do in the Bay. I don't think that will ever come back again, you know what I'm saying? Because everything is so widespread. We all do things, you know what I'm saying, similar. Like, there's kids over in Philadelphia that talk like they from down south, you know what I'm saying? They say bando and in the trap. That's not even our type of lingo, but because of social media, we all talk like that now. So, you know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, speaking of that, now that I'm talking about this, people don't even say West Coast no more. It was a big thing that when we grew up about West Coast, because everybody threw, I remember growing up and everybody would throw the West Coast sign up in there. That was like a huge thing if you was from the West Coast. Now, I didn't even think about that. Now, because things are so like less significant, they don't even do that. They don't even throw up the West Coast sign no more. You know what I'm saying? It's like everything is kind of open ring. I didn't even think about that because that was like a real big thing at the time. It was kind of like the window to let you know, oh, this dude is from the West Coast. Or even at the time, the thing started to die down when you might have did a song with an East Coast rapper. But in the song, you still going to throw up the West Coast sign. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, dang, I didn't even think about that until now. Oh, wow, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, I actually had questions. This is what made me, what stemmed this up. I actually had questions. It is not a lot from people about that. So one of the questions was, do you think Pac and Big would have squashed it if they had lived longer? ISO already answered that question if you tuned into the Tuesday episode, because it was rumored that Pac had already written and recorded songs about, him and Big, you know what I'm saying? Rekindling things and fixing it. And I don't think it was anything too big. It was nothing for Big to fix, because in Big's mind, I don't have no ill will towards you because I didn't do nothing wrong. Would Jay-Z have become Jay-Z if Biggie was still alive? I think so. I think Jay would still be Jay-Z. Now, this is the one thing I'm going to say, because I'm not going to disrespect Jay to say that he would not be Jay. I'm going to say this. He probably would not be the number one guy, because even though Jay-Z would still be Jay-Z, if Big was around, Big would still be Big. You know what I'm saying? If Pac, even though I'm not gonna put Pac in that scenario, because I think Pac was moving on to being more. He would have had more of a Will Smith, type of career, where it's certain people that don't even remember, that grew up with Will Smith as a rapper, but don't remember him as a rapper because his acting career is so huge. So I believe that Pac would have took that type of, move in his career. That we will remember Pac as a bigger actor than a rapper. Even with the crazy impact that he had. But I think that he was moving on to that role, and he would be for that. But I think Jay would still be Jay, no doubt. All the success that he got in the world, but Big would still be Big. And we will forever remember Big to be the greatest. You know what I'm saying? Big to me is one of the, I'm a Nas fan, hands down, but Big checks all of the boxes for me as a hip hop fan. Storytelling, if he would have lived, it would have been longevity. You know what I'm saying? He would have been the guy that you could listen to in the car, you could listen to in the club, you could listen to by yourself. There's a lot of artists that don't got that. Some artists you can't listen to by yourself. Some artists, they don't got the songs for the club. And there's certain artists that, that don't got the music, but you listen to it with somebody else. So Big check all those boxes. You know what I'm saying? Big is a lyricist to me. You know what I'm saying? I know ISO did say, and I'm trying to think, was it Clark Kent that said that Jay was a better lyricist, but Big was a better rapper? This is why I love hip hop, because hip hop leads you to whatever conclusion you want. That's hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And you're not wrong. So to me, I think it's the other way around. To me, Big is the better lyricist, Jay is the better rapper. Why I say that? Because Big came out from jump. Big came out from what we know. You know what I'm saying? As the better rapper. Why I say Jay is the better lyricist, Why I say Jay is the better rapper, because Jay changed himself several times to get to what he was. You know what I'm saying? He had to go through these metamorphoses of slowing it down. You know what I'm saying? Subject matter. You know what I mean? He picked that up. You know what I'm saying? Certain things that Jay did that made him a better rapper. But straight out the gate, Big is one of the best lyricists I know, hands down. I ain't gonna lie. Big got lyrics. So I'm not gonna argue with anybody that say that say that Jay is a better lyricist than Big. That's your take. This is why I love hip hop. You can have your opinion and be right. This shit is all subjective at the end of the day, because lyrics is whatever you think lyrics is, and to you, just like lyrics is whatever I think lyrics is to me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think Jay would still be what he was, but I think that it would be undoubtedly no question that we would say Big is the better. We would say Big is one. Then it might be the debate if we say Nas is 2 or Jay is 2, but we will always, if Big was alive, we would always say Big is number 1. You know what I'm saying? And as time passed, unfortunately, because the audience changes, there may be a time where we don't even mention Big in the top 3 anymore. You know what I mean? Because the audience changes, and hip hop is not a industry where you have to remember the forefathers before you. Like, it's not like you have to go back and listen to the Rakims or the KRS-Ones or the Big Daddy Kanes, you know what I mean, Cool Hercs. You don't got to listen to them for you to jump into this industry and be successful. And because of that, the audience doesn't as well. They don't have as well. So my kids going to grow up and they're going to look at him like, well, we know Big because of you, Pop. But then my kids, they'll grow up and be like, we don't know who Big is. You know what I'm saying? So as time go on, because of, you know what I'm saying, I'm not going to say lack of music, because Big had a lot of music, but the lack of albums that he dropped, we will get to the point where Big may not even be in the top 3 anymore. We might not even mention him in the top 3. Because if you think about it, before it was Big, Jay and Nas, people were saying Rakim. And then all of a sudden Rakim started falling out in the top 5. And to me, Rakim is still one of the dopest rappers out. You know what I'm saying? People were saying KRS-One. And KRS-One was, you know what I'm saying, one of the dopest, but we stopped saying him. LL Cool J. They were in it before we got to the big Jay-Z and Nas's. These were the people that we were saying 1, 2, and 3. You know what I'm saying? And then as time went off, we stopped putting them in the list altogether. So ultimately, it's going to come a point where we stop putting Big in the list. Which coast had better artists before and after the beef? Before the beef, like I said, man, West Coast. After the beef, East Coast, no doubt. And it wasn't, and I'm going to say like this. I'm going to say East Coast because the lack of, I can't say artists, because West Coast still had artists. The lack of material that the West Coast, because we got to think about it, man. The West Coast went from dropping, you know what I'm saying, California Love, you know what I'm saying, Murder Was the Case. They was just dropping banger at the banger at the banger at the banger at the banger. To when Pac took this L, it was just like, let's try to get all of the material that he passed away with and put them on albums. So we got the music, but it didn't have the same impact because the artist wasn't here. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just have to hope, like, this is how Pac wanted us to hear it. We don't even know if that to be true. You know what I'm saying? Pac could have had a different vision for the music that he wanted at that time to be, you know what I mean, given to us, but we would never know. So, East Coast after the beef, you know what I'm saying? You saw the emergence of Jay-Z, DMX, Ja Rule, man, 50 Cent, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, the East Coast, you know what I mean, definitely after that. Would Atlanta have risen if East, would Atlanta have risen as fast if East versus West never weakened each other? Wow, that's crazy. I never thought about Atlanta emerging because we over here beating each other the fuck up. Now, don't get me wrong, Atlanta would have been Atlanta. But would they have had been like the top dogs? Cause that's crazy. I never thought about that. But that could, wow. And the only reason this is no shot at Atlanta. The only reason I'm saying that is because Atlanta artists, to me, and look, correct me if I'm wrong about this, y'all. They kind of seem like they kind of come and go. Like, hip hop, East Coast hip hop artists have the longevity. West Coast artists had the longevity, but it seemed like Atlanta artists seemed like they kind of came and went. Like, they kind of came, had they run, and they dominated. I'm not going to sit here and act like they didn't. They came, they dominated, they topped the charts, but then it was like, pass the baton to the next Atlanta artist. You know what I'm saying? And then they come, they dominated, then, you know what I'm saying, it's like, because, I mean, we had the Dungeon family. You know what I'm saying? They came and they dominated, and then it was just like, all right, then it moved on to the next, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, damn, so I didn't think about that, but it seemed like I don't know. I'm not even going to sit here and act like I can answer that fairly. I'm not going to say truly or fairly. Because to me, thinking about Atlanta artists' rise, it just seemed like they was more of a they were more of a, as a unit rather than East Coast. And the East Coast, we was very competitive with each other to the fact that we was like, yo, you drop it, I'm dropping on the same day that you drop it. And Atlanta was like, yo, you drop it now, all right, you gonna drop, then after that, I'm gonna drop, then after that, he gonna drop, then after that, he gonna drop. So it seemed like they worked more as a collective than how we work as individuals. You know what I'm saying? So it just seemed like that. So man, you know what I'm saying? I didn't even know I was gonna go this long, y'all. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, man. Like I said, man, this is what if the East Coast West Coast beef never existed. So my take in it is that if the East Coast West Coast beef never existed, hip hop would be in a better place than it is right now, and hip hop is in a great place right now. You know what I'm saying? We would probably know of even more artists at that time that we probably didn't get to hear from. We probably would have been more accepted now than we are. And hip hop is accepted in a lot of places, but people always remember the stains of what happened or the effects of what happened. You know what I'm saying? And that is going to be one thing, you know what I'm saying, that I think we will never outlive, because the loss of what happened within that. We will never forget, but one thing I think we will always do is that it will always be used as a marketing tool. Beef will always be pushed into hip hop because of the competition and the nature of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Even to the extent of, I remember when 50 said, he went to Chameleonaire and said, yo, when I was calling you, he said, Chameleonaire said that 50 was saying something about me, and I ran into him, and he said, yo, I threw you the alley-oop, you should have ran with that. Beef will always be used as a marketing tool in hip hop. It will always grow an artist. It may kill another artist's career, but it will always grow an artist. It will always continue to create a buzz around us. This is why the latest thing is take shots at Nas. This is why the latest thing is, you know what I'm saying, whoever's the biggest guy, let's take him down. This will forever be hip hop. You know what I mean? Hip hop is one of those things where we say we don't want nobody to destroy the culture that we have, but we destroy the culture that we have anyway. And I love hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Before we go, yeah, see, I did remember this, y'all. You know what I mean? Shut up, because I thought I was gonna forget. Before we go, this is one thing I want to say about hip hop: the inconsistencies that we have with it as fans and as artists alike. We always say that hip hop is a young man's game. And now the young guys are running with hip hop, and now we upset. We mad with the direction they going in. We mad with the music that they gave us. We said a long time ago, hip hop is a young man's game. So we're gonna stick with the motto and the mantra that we started. Move out the way, let the young boys go to work. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop to me was never a young man's game. I believe hip hop never aged to the point where the audience can grow with hip hop, because hip hop is still young. You know what I mean? It's somebody alive today that can, from the beginning of hip hop to today, they seen that. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop is not old where you going back generations of generations. No, hip hop is still fairly young. So we continue to say something, and now we're seeing the effect of it. You know what I mean? But even within that, us saying hip hop is a young man's game. Shout out to Ghost with Supreme Clientele too. Shout out to Raekwon. Shout out to the Clips. You know what I mean? Y'all, even though the Clips is not that old. You know what I mean? Shout out to, you know what I mean, Slick Rick. You know what I mean? Shout out to LL Cool J. Shout out to, you know what I mean, Snoop and Dr. Dre. You know what I mean? For the missionary Dre. So hip hop will forever be for whoever loves it. Young, middle, old, indifferent, whatever you are, man, hip hop is for you. You know what I mean? American, overseas, hip hop audience are still growing with the artists. And when we leave it up to the young boys, because we kept saying and telling the old guys, get out the way, hip hop is a young man's sport, this is what we get. And we can't be mad because we kept telling ourselves this. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, man, look, thank y'all for everything. You know we appreciate y'all. We love y'all, man. Hit me up in the comments, man. And it is what it is, y'all. And just like that, we out of here. Peace.